I'd like to call the meeting to order. Board of Directors meeting today, February 4th, 8 o'clock. We have a executive session and a regular session. Yes,
Emergency session, special session.
special session. Thank you. Let's go ahead and do Pledge of Allegiance to start this thing off.
Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Denise, you want to do a roll call?
Director Lohmeyer? Here. Director Johnston?
Here.
Director Walper?
Here.
Director Martinez? Director Berman?
Here.
Vice Chair Rydell?
Here.
Chair Wheeler?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. So, for the agenda, we have a couple of amendments, or we have one amendment and need to approve some authorized signers. So,
Let's do that after the executive session.
Oh, do we want to go to executive session now?
Yep.
Yep.
Gotcha.
okay, so then let me read this to start executive session. The Escalade School District will now meet in executive session for the purpose of ORS 192.6602B, executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602B to consider the dismissal or discipline of a public officer, employee, staff member, individual agent, or hear complaints, charges brought against such person that does not request an open hearing. So we will enter into our executive session. Then we will open up our regular meeting after we're done in the executive session to discuss the narrative agenda, the regular agenda.
All right.
don't know if I need to gavel in, but we're gonna gavel in. We're gonna open up our Board of Directors meeting, exit out of the executive session we just had, and go back to the agenda as presented for our special session. So, first item of business to continue on is a motion to approve or amend the agenda.
Chair Wheeler, I'd like to motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. What is that motion?
It is to clarify
Vice Chair.
thank you, it is to clarify item C, and so I won't read as it is presented, but I will read how I'd like to amend it. So item C, to approve Tanner Simmons as the secondary authorized signer and Nancy Hall as an authorized signer in reserve for the period of February 5th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
All right, so we got a motion, we got a second, we have the new language for item C. Is there any other discussion needed on this? So let's go ahead and vote to accept the language?
Accept the amended,
Accept the
To amend
amended
the
language.
agenda.
amend the agenda.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay, so item C will be amended as Vice Chair Rydell noted. Now, back to the regularly scheduled business of item B, which is amend resolution 2024-25-1.
Chair Wheeler, I move to amend Resolution 2024-25-1.
Second.
We got a motion, we have a second. Discussion needed on this one? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries. Ken, were you the second?
Yes, I was. Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
All right, now we're on to item C.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yes,
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve Tanner Simmons as the secondary authorized signer and Nancy Hall as an authorized signer in reserve for the period of February 5th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
we got a motion and a second from Director Lohmeyer. Let's go ahead and discuss this so we can let everybody know who these new
Yep,
folks are.
absolutely. So, in the departure of Mike Ware, our Director of Finance and Operations, obviously, we need to make sure that we have the proper people authorizing and ensure degrees of separation when it comes to the signing and signatures of public funds and contracts, et cetera. And so with this move, this now allows Tanner Simmons to be a co-signer with myself when it comes to paychecks and other authorizations. And in the event that we need to have an emergency signer due to emergency circumstance or whatever else, we've authorized the designee. Nancy Hall is currently employed by the Oregon Association of School Business Officials, OASBO. She currently is supporting other districts around the state of Oregon as she guides and mentors young business managers aspiring to grow and learn through the process. And she's very reputable, very certified, and with lots of experience. And so I feel good about her ability to sign in the event that need occurs.
And I probably should have said this in item B, but this is in that resolution. So that is the
Correct.
resolution 2024-25-1. So just for anybody watching out there, you have to, as a board, we have to approve to make an amendment, and then we have to approve the amendment. And so that's
Yes.
why this is a two-step process.
Yep.
That's what 2024-25-1 is.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Superintendent Carpenter, one question. Nancy Hall's availability, if she's splitting time between us and a couple other districts, is she on call or
She's-
available at short notice?
Great question. No, thank you. She is on campus in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays, twice a week, and she's remote, reachable on Wednesdays for us, and in the events of an emergency.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Excellent. All right, that takes care of our business. We have a discussion item with the B word on it. Bond.
Bond. Thank you, Executive Board of Directors. I actually have three things that I'm going to talk about in addition to that bond or potential bond or just the discussion about a bond. First, I want to thank you for coming together for an emergency session and make sure that our district can remain in good operational standing by ensuring that we are signing the promissory things that we've guaranteed to our employees and other vendors. But second, you also have a handout here that I shared with you at the beginning of the board. And this is in regard to the fitness center that was approved by the board this most recent board meeting, not to exceed $275,000. I want to recognize and commend Director Berman for his hard work. And as we started to crunch the numbers a little bit more on what $275,000 actually buys us, and when we looked at some of the safe, warm, and dry, fire safety, and other things to make this a high-quality fitness center for both our students and our community, we got a little bit concerned. And so I'm sharing with you soft costs provided to you and myself from Director Berman. As we looked at this, and as we think of these are things, and these are prices, and you can help me in this a little bit, but these prices just came from a general price location, nothing specific, but also at the same time relatively accurate. We see that to do this right, which includes plumbing and bathroom plumbing, which we talked about, is more along the lines of $450,000. And that's, even if you deleted some things or picked and chose some things, it's still considerably over $275,000. And so unlike the last time doing some of our projects where we had to increase the budget threshold, I thought it would be wise just to bring to the board again that at this moment it would be probably wise for us to temporarily halt until we can figure out how to do this in a better fashion so that we fulfill the things that we promised our community and this. And so thank you, Director Berman, for your hard work in that, and thank you also to other board members who shared and expressed some concerns about that price point. So I'm going to pause there for a second just to see if there's any comment from the board prior to moving forward.
At this point, the pause is indefinite, is that right?
Yes, yes, I would say it's paused indefinitely, but I would like to continue doing work to see what we need to do, because the three needs of why we need this fitness center has not gone away. And it's still very much problematic. And again, that's growth and capacity. It's our Title IX responsibilities to our men's and women's wrestling program. And it's a growth and capacity issue with the middle school and our obligation to fulfill PE for every kid every day, which is a state law. And so all three of those things are pressing today issues, even yesterday issues. So there's still a need that exists, but a $275,000 threshold was not going to satisfy that need, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yep.
And I didn't want us to be surprised when it went over. And these numbers, heck, some of them were from Amazon looking at equipment,
Yeah.
We had a nice shell, we had a floor, we had HVAC and some electrical, but, this is what I would like to see when we're talking about these types of projects is a deeper dive, turnkey operational type place. So some of these were actuals I've incurred in some of my own buildings recently, so they're pretty accurate.
Yeah, very.
Others, such as adding bathroom plumbing, were values I heard in this meeting the month
Yeah.
before. And it was just, putting all the thoughts together to see what would it take to go beyond what was presented to make it truly functional and have some longevity. So, more than anything, just future reports
Yep.
with more detail,
Yes.
Thanks, Joe.
and it was a good look at, maybe we should pause and
Yeah.
double check the project.
Yep.
So,
And
I
I
would
just-
think that this would be a good start for a quote. We could give this without the numbers on it to at least 3 contractors and
Yeah,
let them
it-
quote it.
And having that list, knowing what you need besides the shell is that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
component we were talking about in that type of position is the other things to ask for.
Yeah.
And just the start of a framework. This was a quick exercise, but I think it gave some good data.
Yep.
Take a quick pause.
And I would too, again, thank Joe for the time and effort putting into it. And I think it calls out again, as Ryan has done graciously for the board is we have a lot of experts in this room that cover different areas.
Yeah.
But construction is one of those that's heavily covered in this group, so, but also a big thank you to Ryan for being open to the conversation and wanting to learn and being curious about what is missing and how do we build this, process out so it can be more effective as we move forward with additional projects in the future.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we'll continue to, I think mull this around is probably a good word as we try to solve this problem and look for creative solutions. So we're also I'm not recommending that this will never happen. I just, with this new information, I think we need to go back to the drawing board to see what we can do. So that's that part of the discussion.
I would also just add for anybody out there, our balance in our capital construction.
Is about $550,000.
So if we were to move forward with this,
Yeah,
it would almost completely deplete
correct.
all the funds that we have for any capital improvements, broken boilers,
Correct.
busted water pipes.
Yes.
And so I think
Yes.
it would be fiscally irresponsible for
Right.
us, knowing that we just had a water pipe in the last year, a water pipe in this building, a
Yep.
drain go, those types of things. So it's good fiscal practice.
And to
And-
add to that, the projects we do take on, we really need to make them last.
Yes,
Like
that's a great
meaningful,
point.
long-term, well thought out,
Yeah,
and
sounds
on
good.
top of having reserves for broken water pipes.
Yeah.
And we do, just for the community to know as well, that the capital construction fund is not general fund money. This typically comes from our construction excise tax, which is through that process. And even with that $550,000, the district still has $2.25 million in contingency. And so I just want people to know that in the event of a true crisis or emergency, the board has a true savings account for any type of emergency. So that's, yeah. Okay, moving on to a reconfiguration conversation. Again, I just shared with you the reason why we needed a fitness center, and that's because our growth and capacity is through the roof, and we continue to gain students even as of today. Our enrollment is still growing. And so I thought, did a very proficient job of communicating to the citizens of the Estacada School District that growth is a real thing, that is something we're going to have to address. And while we were unsuccessful in building a bond package that really solved our needs of making sure our kids were competitive amongst other kids their age from other communities, ensuring that we could handle the growth and capacity while at the same time alleviating an elementary capacity problem primarily. And while we were unsuccessful in that, that means that this burden of problem, it didn't go away with a failed bond. It just made the decision harder and is now on our laps as leaders to really work and reconcile through. Jennifer Berman, who's our Director of Teaching and Learning, is spearheading a committee which has been newly formed to really take a look at the reconfiguration efforts of how to deal with this growth and capacity issues that we're experiencing inside our school district. Currently, right now, we have 3 portables on campus, which are now almost nearly full of Rivermill Elementary School students, and we're already in conversations about adding portables at Estacada Middle School. It is full, and there's no denying that. And so this committee has been tasked with trying to find a different way to reallocate the students, because no matter what we do, buildings are full. Like, you can rearrange kids however you want. You're moving full buildings into other full buildings, but at the same time trying our best to really redistribute, is the word I'm looking for, redistribute students in a way that makes more logistical sense while we deal with this growth in capacity. And so the reason why I bring this up is in the next 2 or 3 months, not only will the school district be engaging in a very controversial conversation with our families about how best to reconfigure our schools, the executive board of directors are going to have to make a big decision at the end of this road to determine how best to redesign our school district without a bond. Because that need still is very much there. And so I wanted to just share with the board that, there is still a potential, but this is our final chance to propose any type of a bond package, campaign, whatever, for the May election. And the deadline for submitting a bond is this February 2025 to be out in May of 2025. And while I think we all collectively agree that the timing is not great, nor have we ever really been in support of this, this is also the final time that we're all paying $1.16 right now on our taxes for the 2000 bond, and that expires this spring. And so this would be the final and only time if we wanted to put a package together that would say renew the bond at no tax increase to focus on just the high school or something like that to help the reallocation efforts of what that looks like. So here's just some quick data. No decision necessary here. I'm just sharing this to talk more about it with you, both privately and in small groups, not quorum groups, but small groups, to see if this is something we want to bring up for the February board meeting, which is next Wednesday. $1.16, which is what we currently pay today, if that were over 5 years, a 5-year bond at current tax rate, that would bring the school district $12.6 million. $1.16 at 10 years would be $24.7 million. And I did not ask for anything beyond that because to renew something, it's not in our best interest to do a 30-year loan for something like that. A short 5 or 10 might alleviate some of the just major problems that we have today. It doesn't think about the future at all. It just addresses the problem today and how to support that. Our great bond campaign team, Danny Randall, Maggie Kelly, Josh Gray, they submitted an awesome grant just in case the board decided to move forward with some type of bond, and we were successful in that. And so that's an additional $6 million on top of the 12.6 or 24.7. So I'm just going to pause there to see if there are any questions, clarifications, statements, or comments that the board would like to make. Other than that, I just wanted to really bring that to the board's attention and to the public's attention, that this is really our last moment if we want to do something that addresses growth and capacity only.
I think it would be a positive move to come up with a plan where we would use those monies. What could we do to take care of this problem for a while? I mean, I think we're all in agreement that it's sure not going to last very long. Look what's going on right out here.
400 more homes.
Yeah, 400 more homes, and it's just, we're busting at the seams. And I'm going to say this time, there's enthusiasm as to what's going on in our government, and I think that's going to help.
Yeah.
I think it would be really necessary to dig into what we get, right? What can we do?
Yeah.
Because, and I know we've said this several times, but just because the bond didn't pass doesn't mean the problem went away. And so and I don't even know what we can do with this money, with this amount of money, right? So, but let's just say we don't. We're gonna need to double, triple, quadruple the number of portables that we have.
Yep.
In the next few years. To buy new portables, they're about $300,000 a piece.
Brand new.
So if you said we need to be at 12 of those,
Yeah.
and we have 3, so I didn't do that math right. Quadruple would be 12. So that's 9 more at 300,000. That's $2.7 million.
Yes.
Just to buy
Temporary classrooms.
temporary classrooms. And then where do we put all of these portables? And that will take up space. I mean, just
Power, the water.
the power, the water, and
The
really the
easy
only,
locations are done, they're gone.
Yes.
well, and it would impact It would impact the schools from a recess area standpoint. It would impact the community from a activity, youth sports, even school sports, because where's left in between the middle school and Clackamas River, that's about it.
Yep.
So, and so knowing that the need is great and knowing that not doing something is not an option, because that's what we're tasked with doing, I would really like to see what we potentially could do
Yeah.
to make this run.
Yeah.
It's just a Band-Aid,
Yes.
you know, that's all it is. It's just a Band-Aid.
And that's my concern, as a $24 million Band-Aid.
Or a $12 million
Or a
Band-Aid.
$12 million Band-Aid.
Because I think in 5 years, I'm gonna say the economy's gonna be better.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna have 500 more new homes here, okay?
Yes,
So that would help a lot, dollar-wise, coming in, you know, with property taxes.
yeah,
I think we'd have a better chance of getting a 5-year than we would a 10-year.
Yeah, just what can we do with 12?
yeah. And, I mean,
18 with the other
yeah,
6.
it's, 12/7, 2, yeah, plus 6, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. And to me, those are things like, yeah, capacity, classrooms, remodel, windows, you know, some of those types of things. I mean, we know that 12 doesn't go far in today's world, but,
Well, and I think the 12 would need to start addressing some capacity. Right?
yes.
I mean, I don't think we do a $12 million bond to put
Right.
new windows in this high school,
No,
right?
you're right.
I mean,
That's
I
well
think
said. Yeah.
if we're gonna do anything, it has to address at least
Yep.
one of the 3 things, right? The competitive,
Yep.
the updated facilities, and capacity that
Yep.
we truly believe are the 3
Yeah.
biggest risks that this
And this
district
needs
has
to be
seen.
capacity.
It has to be capacity, so, so that'll be interesting to see what that would actually could provide.
Yeah,
You know, just thinking out of the box, what about staggered sessions?
that actually has come up, believe it or not, in the first committee meeting that we're in, and the conversations of AM school and PM school. And I know in Las Vegas and other booming areas, specifically right now in Arizona, people are moving to that. And I will tell you that that is wildly unpopular and a giant inconvenience for families whom we serve. But, you know, if nothing happens, at some point, we're not there yet, but if something happens where we just cannot get our community to invest in its schools, like, that is an option that's on the table probably 5 years, 10 years from now. We're just not quite at double capacity
Yeah.
yet. And a lot of people do those split shifts when there's two schools in one, basically.
And either
yeah.
the split shifts or a year-round track.
And it's
So
a
you've got
year-round
5
track.
different tracks, right? So that's how Nevada does it.
Yes.
Is the tracks year-round.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'd have to, yeah, that's wildly unpopular.
Yeah.
And creates issues all over the place.
Yeah.
But we're
But
gonna
you-
have to do something, right?
But you can't have both. You
Yeah.
can't not have a bond and not have this,
Yep.
yeah, so,
Yeah, my family, we moved to Estacada. I'm not from Estacada. We moved
Yeah.
here in 2012. And I still hear a lot. Something's not transferring, because I still hear a lot that it was fine when I went to school there.
yeah,
Schools are fine the way that they are. But I can't imagine, and I don't know the history of the school district. I can't imagine before 2012 or back to the 60s or whatever, that there was a lot of portable buildings on the school campus that kids were going to school in.
right,
So nobody's gone in school district like it is now.
yes.
Great point.
Well said.
And so it's completely different than when anybody else went to school here.
Yeah,
Um,
great comment.
So,
It's completely different, but it's still very much the same buildings.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, this is the same. Yeah. But I mean, nobody who went to school in here in the 60s, 70s, 80s went in a portable
Right.
and had to have class out. And so that, I mean, what I hear, that's why it doesn't make sense, what I hear and what I see.
Yeah.
Well, and I would also say historically, we haven't had the capacity issues.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, and that, which, hence why the portables are a big part of it, but, the capacity issue is bigger than just portables, right? It is, it's a much bigger conversation.
Yep. So, what I'm hearing though, because again, no decision needed, but I did hear questions such as, what would 12.5 get us? How far could we make that work? And those are things that, as I work with you between now and next Wednesday, in terms of determining if we even want this on the agenda or not, or the conversation on the agenda or not, I will try my best to work swiftly to put that together. I think it goes without saying, though, that our communication package in the last bonds, I mean, I don't think anybody didn't know what was going on or what we were trying to do, and so I'm not as worried about a robust communication campaign. I kind of want to say, hey, this is, no tax increase, this is what it gets, this is what it addresses, a couple mailers, a couple conversations, and just put it in the, it would just be putting it back into the community's hands one last time before we wait for that economy to thrive and all the engines are going and then whatever else. But it's a bigger decision than just what I'm talking about now. I just didn't want to surprise you all, and I just wanted to share the direction, because this goes back, at the end of the day, this goes back to reconfiguration. And how we reconfigure is also dependent upon what we want to ask our community to invest in, if possible.
Yeah, I'd like to see a plan for 24 plus, both of them plus 6, so 30 million and 18 million.
Yeah,
Because that would be the numbers.
yep,
If we get the,
We got it.
we got
We're
it.
oh, we
approved
got
for
it, okay.
Yep.
Yep, but we only get it if we pass it.
In
Does that make
2025.
sense?
In 2025,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
What's kind of interesting about these numbers, we're talking about a 5-year bond. That's something we've never talked about. In 2016, we talked about a $55.1 million bond to rebuild the building we're sitting in. And it was was it a 25 or 30 year?
it was 30.
30.
A $25.1 million bond for 30 years. And that projected tax was gonna be $2 a thousand, or $2.12 a thousand, I think it was.
Yes, it was, I thought it was $1 for some reason, but maybe I'm wrong on that. $1 more than what.
A dollar more than we were, so it would have
Yeah,
been
216, oh yeah, 212, you're right.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Yep,
So, I mean, it's just crazy to think about how much our tax base has increased in the city, or in the
Yes.
surrounding area. We're talking about $1.16 now to get 1/3 of that money over 1/6 of that time.
yeah,
That's crazy.
that's big growth,
So,
well said.
I mean, at some point that, it's gonna flip. It's gotta flip. There's gotta be enough people here that are like, okay, we want good buildings for our kids. We have good educators for our kids. We have good administration for our kids, a great school board for our kids. And we need to get to the point of where we update our buildings to meet the needs of what we have.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yep,
Thanks, Ben.
agreed.
full of construction people, again, to come back to that, like, there's not a better time to have this board while trying to do a construction project. Like, this is as good as it gets, Estacada, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's it, that's your superintendent's report.
Thanks, Ryan.
So we will meet again, is today Tuesday or Wednesday? Today's
A
Tuesday.
week from tomorrow.
Week
So-
from tomorrow.
1 week from tomorrow.
Okay.
I got work to do.
We'll do, we have an executive session prior to, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
so 6 o'clock. Any other questions, concerns? We're already late, so let's go ahead and adjourn this thing. Thanks, everybody, for coming.